Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webcast. I'm Ronald van Loon. I'm the CEO and the principal analyst of the Intelligent World, and we're here today to talk about telecommunications and navigating the operator journey to cloud native. So telecom companies, they are evolving in order to support the shifting customer behaviors and also new technologies. So customer behaviors, they are changing as they expect digital interactions that are seamless, such as integrated app experiences with little frictions, of course. And also emerging technologies like 5G and cloud. They are definitely altering the telecom landscape. And cloud networking provides telecommunication companies the flexibility and the agility to drive transformations and innovation, like improving network efficiency, to explore the edge use cases, such as augmented reality, for example. And 5G is creating opportunities for telcos to deliver new solutions and services in the digital economy with higher bandwidth services, with faster media transfers, with quick transaction speeds, but also with enhanced digital connectivity. And telecom operators, they are responsible for driving these new business models and these new strategies that create these fresh opportunities that enhance the business value. But before we dive into our discussion, let's start with some introductions. We have three domain experts that are joining me today. Rakshit Mehta, he's the business development leader, global telecom industry at IBM. Welcome, Rakshit.
Hi, Ronald. Happy to be here.
Good. Ian Hood, chief strategist, global industries at RedHat. Welcome.
Thanks, Ronald. Welcome to the folks that are going to join us today. Look forward to an interesting discussion on cloud native 5G and how it drives our digital economy.
Me too. And we have Yavatkar. He's the CTO at Juniper Networks. Welcome.
Hi, Ronald, and hi, everyone. Thank you for joining and look forward to the conversation.
Yeah, so maybe we can start with a very short introduction and tell something little about yourself and why you're here today. Maybe, Rakshit, you can start.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Rakshit Mehta. I'm the industry business executive at IBM, and I run our industry partnerships with large network equipment providers, Juniper being one of our very important partners, and telco ISVs as we deliver telco network cloud solutions for the 5G era.
Thank you, Rakshit. And Ian, can you give a short introduction as well?
My role here as chief strategist global industries is to work with our customers, our partners, and the industry in general to use open source innovations to drive business value for our customers globally.
Last but not least, Raj.
Hi, this is Raj Yavatkar. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Juniper Networks, and my role at Juniper is to drive technology strategy for the company, work with our industry partners, customers in advancing the technology frontiers. So 5G era is one of the most important focus areas for me.
Yeah, great panel. We're going to have a great discussion. Thanks for the introductions. And of course, thanks to IBM for bringing us together today. But let's get started. So if we look to 5G and cloud, they are ushering this new era of network efficiency, but also device management, new connectivities, security that's necessary to drive the competition in the market and to provide this best-in-class customer experiences for people who want to consume applications, especially on their preferred devices. And enterprises, they're now able to offer, let's say, network as a platform that helps them to provide this automated self-service capabilities that make IT environments more efficient, but also better manageable. And which aids the application developers, but it also improves the use case deployment, and therefore, probably you can meet your customer and your client goals. So as the 5G deployment really continues to be further adopted and further integrated, having a network ecosystem that gives this level of control is very important. So it's not just the telecom enterprise, but it's also important for the consumer. So for example, being able to divert your network resources by location or react and route your network according to network traffic, that will help the enterprise meet the customer expectations as they interact with these different applications and expect immediate and frictionless results, of course. So Raj, maybe we kick off with you. If we look to cloud and we look to 5G, they provide a foundation for future business growth and for opportunities for the telcos. Can you elaborate on this?
Sure. I think so. One of the challenges telcos face is that cost per bit of delivering traffic is not going down, but the revenue per bit in getting revenue for transferring traffic is going down. Under those pressures, it's important to look at 5G and what it brings to the table. In my opinion, 5G offers a strategic inflection point that comes every 15, 20 years. As an example, when HTTP was introduced with browsers, that was the first inflection point that opened up use of internet in a way we had not seen before. Then came iPhone like smartphone in around 2007 and App Store. And that completely opened up unforeseen use of the mobile networks. With new applications, we have Uber, we have DoorDash, those kind of applications. I believe that a 5G, with its capabilities such as URLLC, massive machine-to-machine communication, very low latency, high bandwidth, provides such a strategic inflection point, and that's going to open up completely new types of services and applications that telcos can monetize. So that's the biggest advantage 5G brings. And now, with that, sorry, go ahead.
So, Raj, some great points there. I think the other piece is that since 5G is a service-based architecture, and really the industry body 3GPP has really stated that it's going to be built on a cloud-native kind of approach, which allows us to combine the IP, IT, and networking worlds together in a distributed architecture. Now I can actually put other things on top of the highway. So I build the 5G distributed highway, but I can combine IT applications and services, edge applications, in addition to those communication services that allows the operators to then step up that value chain, to deliver applications and more interesting services to a broad collection of industries.
I agree completely. Rakshit, go ahead. Sorry, I was just.
So, Rakshit, if you look to this, you have the lower, let's say, latency, the higher bandwidth. What do you see? How it drives the innovation? You have more business perspective as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have the convergence of connectivity and compute, and that's the inflection point that Raj was mentioning earlier. 5G, cloud, and AI coming together, especially at the edge, combined with the order of magnitude improvements in both latency and throughput that the 5G technology provides. This speeds up the innovation cycle that CSP networks have not seen before, especially when CSPs are not locked in by vertically integrated architecture. So what we work together, IBM, RedHat, and Juniper, is this value proposition of the horizontal multi-cloud platform enabling the 5G networks of the future.
Yeah, if I may, I want to expand on that, Rakshit. Ian made a very good point. The cloud-native architecture is a big opportunity for telcos to really bring together many different types of service application on the same infrastructure. And what 5G enables is that because of 5G densification, now you need to have multiple local clouds closer to the consumers or closer to enterprises. And Red Hat cloud native architecture that we are investing in with Red Hat and IBM, that really provides an opportunity for us to work together to make it very easy, including AI ops, automation, and all, for anybody to bring up these local clouds and start managing them in automated way.
Absolutely, the intelligent part of the automation is key. We've seen automation in the previous generations, but they had no intelligence in them. What we can deliver today is intelligent network automation at various levels of the network infrastructure up to the application. It's not just cost, but also the speed of bringing new services to market and the scale at which they can be brought to new areas of the telco network.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the intelligence part we can dive into later as well. We discussed the opportunities, but on the other hand, I think there's quite some challenges with the automation part that the telecom providers have. So we see all the benefits and all the opportunities, I think, with 5G, but deploying the 5G operations, and then especially at scale, that has some corresponding challenges for the organization. So 5G networks, they became increasingly complex compared to the 3G and the 4G type of networks. More workloads are being implemented at the edge that require this low latency. We see deploying and managing 5G networks at scale at the speed of accelerated transformation. And this is also causing the organizations need to rethink more their traditional type of strategies, their traditional operations, but also the traditional, the processes. And if we then look from operating and managing 5G networks at scale, it's not feasible using this traditional hardware-dependent network functions. This causes bottlenecks because of the software and the hardware are more interlinked to each other and dependent on each other, which limits the freedom to adopt the technologies and the processes that forward this progress and the innovation. That's, I think, what we see. So organizations need a virtual cloud network that's more flexible and more adaptable to meet these diverse use cases, but also, I think, these new partnerships in an ecosystem. And talking about this partnerships, Rakshit, you mentioned already, IBM and RedHat and Juniper Networks, they're working closely together in an ecosystem. Can you explain why and what's the whole thought behind this cooperation and this ecosystem?
Absolutely. So firstly, IBM, Red Hat, and Juniper, we share a common vision of the cloud native networks that are at the heart of the CSP transformation, providing a nimble platform to accelerate innovation cycles, create a dynamic edge platform, adoption of new technologies such as Open RAN, creating data and AI-based services that differentiate CSPs in the market using automation to deliver new experiences on an open horizontal platform. So how do we execute on this common vision? We are putting together a set of complementary capabilities, which includes IBM's intent-driven orchestration, AI ops, cloud capabilities, and system integration strengths. Bring to that Juniper's SDN overlay capabilities for multi-cloud environments, a robust portfolio of routing, switching, and security with automation enabled on Red Hat OpenShift platform across the technology stack. As we do this and bring this to our clients, we've developed co-developed cross-reference architectures, provided automated and pre-integrated technology stack, integrated with CI/CD operations and various levels of closed-loop automation. We bring together this pre-integrated telco network cloud platform to CSPs take advantage of with confidence so that they can have an accelerated time to market with new 5G solutions. And I've just scratched the surface here.
Yeah, so Ian, if you look to this, telcos want to scale, they want to innovate faster. How can this combination help the telecom service providers?
So one of the things that, in addition to the pre-integration capabilities that, Rakshit mentioned of our companies and our overall ecosystem, we partner together to actually engineer the solutions so that, there's less effort by the telco to actually go deploy this. But on top of that, the other key part of this is actually somewhat organizational, because much as we might be able to automate one portion of the telco network, right? The other organization is still doing their own thing. So getting them to figure out how to build processes where it's not a swivel chair between divisions, right, where they hand some spreadsheets or some mops back and forth to each other. We actually have to help them work through the process and move to what I kind of term it this way. We've been developing applications using CI/CD for quite some time, and that allows us to do things very quickly and deploy out new applications faster. But in the case of telcos, they're consuming applications, not actually developing that many. So what we're actually doing CI/CD for them is their network infrastructure configurations using open source technologies, things like GitOps, Argo CD, those kinds of technologies, to allow them to have a push button, almost zero touch automation approach with, as Rakshit mentioned, intent-based service orchestration built into it. So that's really how we're working together to, not just look at the technology and automate in one space, it's to integrate it across their entire ecosystem.
And Rush, what's your view?
Sorry, go ahead.
What's your view on the ecosystem?
No, I completely agree. I want to give a concrete example of what Ian just mentioned, right? We are working together in one of the European large telcos environment to deliver a next generation internet media subsystem, right? Which really handles all sorts of things for their network using the CI/CD based automation. So they can deliver, upgrade, release, and operate infrastructure as code. And that's the advantage of bringing IBM's intent-based orchestration, open shift CI/CD approach, and what we are providing as overlay SDN networking. So that's one aspect of it. The second part, I want to make sure that 5G also brings another challenge to telcos. They are also investing in this new disaggregated open architecture called Open RAN. That requires multiple components to be brought together from different parties. And you have to add slicing support to be able to take advantage of 5G use cases, such as low latency, high bandwidth based use cases. When you do that, you really need to operate at scale, and automation is very important. Because you not only have to enable hundreds of slices, maybe dynamically come up and go, you also have to enable edge clouds. So there's local zone clouds where the aggregation of the traffic happens in the 5G urban densification areas. Those are examples where the combination of OpenShift, IBM orchestration, and Juniper's slicing manager and end-to-end slicing support come together to provide the necessary automation, in my opinion.
Yeah, great insight. And we mentioned that the cloud is an important part of digital transformation. But Rakshit, you mentioned already AI. AI plays a very important role in this transformation. So not only in accelerating the transformation, but also providing this real-time analytics or moving to fully autonomous networks as well. You were mentioning AI ops already. So AI is connected, I think, to the future of success and operability of 5G and of the telecom service providers. There will be much more data being generated by 5G, which is why AI is helpful because it can autonomously send this pertinent data through the cloud. And at the same time, 5G brings a great deal of speed. It also brings a great deal of reliability, but also responsiveness to the AI networks. So platforms and frameworks for AI application development, they are transformed with the cloud and with 5G as the enterprise and the industries can explore the capabilities like AR as well, and use, for example, text recognition, speech-to-text recognition, or voice assistance, or even you can think about autonomous driving. So Ian, if we collect all this data at the edge and we transport the data over the 5G network with the lower latency to the cloud, I think we have a very solid foundation for all kinds of new innovations with AI. What type of examples do you see already in the market developing, and what do you expect in the near future?
So this is a really great area to kind of think about. And one of the things that we tend to call it is we call it human enhanced machine learning, because humans are still involved in the overall process. But if I look at operators and how they're using AI in context, it's really in three spaces. The first one is to use that data to improve the efficiency of their core and RAN networks, so by tuning the radios on the fly, tuning their optical networks, using that data for that purpose to make their overall network more efficient and make it so they can make changes much quicker with that information. The second piece that's really important to the operators is their customer satisfaction net promoter scores. So they're spending some time actually adding tooling, if you will, into their applications, their call centers, their chatbots. We've got Optus in Australia that actually uses this with built-in voice genies to actually translate on the fly and then direct their customers to the right technical person faster to improve how they actually interact with them. So they built this all on top of a cloud-native network on top of IMS to build that complete capability to improve that overall service for them. Now we move into the opportunity for the operator to take advantage of AI to improve the efficiency of their enterprise customers. And so this is where we're seeing them use edge technologies for the oil and gas exploration, so they can remotely control vehicles. We got logistics going on in the port of Dubai to actually ensure appropriate shipping's going on. In the healthcare space, lots of activity there in using image scans, of brains. At Boston Children's Hospital, where they're doing this and using AI to actually improve how quickly they can respond to the specific, cancer treatments or whatever they have found by letting the AI, work through that. So in healthcare, in automotive, we look at it in terms of helping them do their R&D for autonomous vehicles. So using AI tooling for that purpose. So as you can see, every industry that is out there, there's an opportunity to improve the product, improve our lives from a healthcare perspective. So quite a lot of things going on around the world in these kinds of activities, and we even see it with when COVID came along, people using facial recognition, to see what, pardon me, whether people were using masks or not, as well as for retail, for using Face ID to actually consume something. Some of the operators are using it for that purpose. So quite a lot of things in this space.
Yeah, you see endless number of possibilities. Rush, from a network perspective and security perspective, how is AI applied?
So I think I like to look at it from networking perspective, divided into three different parts: design, build, and operate the networks. Those are the three really the phases that usually encompass what operators have to do. And AI can now span across all three of those. For example, design includes capacity planning. Design includes intent-based specifications. AI already is starting to help there because capacity forecasting can be done easily using vast amounts of data from the real networks we collect to decide how to plan the capacity. When you go to build phase, then AI also helps you decide and use the AI based automation for self configuration, translating intent into actual configurations, and constantly validating them as you enter the operate phase. So in the operate phase, of course, you have day zero, day one, and day two operations for deciding proactive maintenance using predictive analytics to decide when to even start fixing things before they go bad. And a simple example I give you that operators have is that now, because modern optics is used, the cabling is very important, and cable failing can be a source of failures that is very hard to diagnose. But if you have predictive analytics and built up data from long time, you can start predicting which cables are likely to go bad, and so proactively maintain them, replace them. So there are multiple examples across build, design, operate. And to Ian's other point, I want to make sure that from customer experience perspective, you can also start self-servicing, self-healing, self-remediation kind of operations using AI ML ops engine.
Yeah, so it's a no-brainer in the network. AI is required for this automation. And Rakshit, you kicked off this topic with AI ops. What examples do you have?
So I want to stress on the RAN part of the network. There's a lot of cost that is buried in the RAN for the CSPs, and Open RAN provides the opportunities for RAN intelligence controllers to play a role and take automated decisions on things such as spectrum optimization or network slice optimization based on the demand supply balance seen in the network. And we expect this RAN intelligence controller to spur an ecosystem of XF and RF providers for various intelligent applications that again allows the CSPs to access innovation cycles much faster than what they have been able to do in the previous generations of the network.
I think that's a really good point. Well, before Raj gets into it here, one of the things that I mentioned was the ability to tune things on the fly. So before the availability of radio interface controllers, we had very fixed proprietary, baseband controllers out there. So one of our customers did was they actually used AI to actually send information down the management channel to their different radio controllers and actually adjust their RAN, if you will, on the fly in that fashion. So now they'll have an advantage to actually have this radio interface controller as a more open piece of technology that they'll be able to use that in the future for their 5G implementation. They can evolve what they've done with their LTE network and use AI again in combination with that network slicing and spectrum sharing type capabilities that can be turned on by such a controller. And as we know, Juniper is now making one of those available that we can actually deploy on top of OpenShift. So Raj, up to you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Ian. That's a point. I think the Open RAN really disaggregates architecture that traditionally vertically integrated. And that, to Rakshit's point, allows us to have radio intelligence controller, which we are actually trialing with a couple of CSPs right now in Europe, allows us to have that as a control point on which third parties can start adding AI ML-based XApps and apps. So one of the examples of that, what we have done, developed XApp is for spectrum optimization or scheduling. but also working with third parties. So you can have an ecosystem of multiple third-party XApps, which continuously on the fly tune and optimize the radio access network as the most important and expensive investment that CSPs are making. And with OpenShift-based platform, what we're doing is all of that can be automated with respect to CI/CD based implementation of not just day zero, but also day one upgrades and day two upgrades, and delivering new applications on the fly as they get up.
I think if I give you the floor, we can talk for 2 or 3 hours with all great examples how AI is going to change the telecom industry. But I think it's a great moment now to wrap up. It's a great conversation. Ian, Rakshit, and Rush, thank you very much. And I think if we look to the telco industry, becoming cloud native helps to integrate the network functions that bring the agility to the enterprise so that operators can automate the processes and they can do this at scale. And the IT landscape can be much more efficient and meet all the needs of this improved application development, all the new use cases that we have heard already. And I think there's a ton more to come. And also great partnerships into an ecosystem. I think that's very important. So thank you, Rush, Ian, Rakshit, for the great insights, the terrific examples, and I love to hear more. And thank you for the audience as well for joining us today. And thank you, IBM, for bringing us together. Thank you. And we're looking forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.